Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, breaking down the David Bailey butterfly effect and talking forces being multiplied.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by TurboTax, ready for stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed. Head over to turbotax.com today and get matched with your expert. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you and continuing basically to catch up on what has happened over the last few days or even number of hours, and thankfully catching up on this, a very enjoyable experience because it's been a whole lot of good news for the Red Raiders. Hope you caught up on what was going down as far as Sunday basketball deadlines and even a little indication maybe as to some news to come this week as far as some player or staff movement. If you didn't, check out that episode on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. But as for today's conversation, Chris, we're going to focus in on catching up with Joey McGuire's Red Raider football program because you had some exciting news come to fruition. We did talk about this on an episode last week, pointing to the possible addition of Stanford transfer David Bailey, and we see that actually come to pass as he chooses to become a Red Raider after entertaining some ideas of being a Longhorn or possibly winding up as a Bruin at UCLA, but nonetheless makes the call for Texas Tech. So we'll talk about the impact of this for the Red Raiders, another impact spot as far as the position goes there on the defensive front, on the outside, on the edge. And what's next now for Texas Tech as they pick right back up where they left off within this portal party, Chris. So it was kind of interesting as well. I know you and I posted some reactions over the weekend to this news. And part of what you touched on was where we will begin today, the butterfly effect, because it's kind of strange how things lined up out west to now actually have this possibility for Tech.
Yeah, it is, and there's many reasons how we ended up here, and I think that it's important to note, like, you know, kind of the how that process worked, because you had to be a little lucky here, and then you had to have several things in place ready to act quickly. But it all stems from Stanford hiring Andrew Luck, former star quarterback and Colts quarterback and everything like that, as their general manager.
Yeah, were you making a lucky pun there? Was that intended? Because that's where it starts. Andrew Luck.
And yet what's weird is there's not any of these GMs in these programs out there that I have seen that technically, like, the college and the professional model is a bit flipped here. All the GMs are working for the head coach. Like, the head coach is the one that has hired the general manager, basketball, football, whatever, personnel development, whatever you want to call them, president, GM, whatever. And yet Stanford is like, hey, Andrew Luck's our GM. And his first act is, hey, we've looked into some things. Coach Taylor, you're out. Like, what? Like, because so that's the first thing that, like, makes it just kind of gives you some pause, because I don't think there's any GM out there that would be in a position to, like, it would be the other way around. Like, hey, man, we're going to find a new GM. You're out. But instead, Andrew Luck comes in, and as the GM is like, yeah, we're making a change here. Okay. So, and he's maybe a bit different in that he's got some street cred. He was a all-timer there at the school and all that stuff. But he was clearly empowered with the duties to do what you think is best here. So with that, he makes that change. I guess we were out in San Francisco, or at least I was, whenever this move was made, I think. And then, you know, a few players get into the portal. One of them named David Bailey, and he almost got in instantly. Like, okay, interesting. Well, then you skip to the tech side of things. And he's allowed to get into the portal at a time when the portal is not open. You know, people were asking us about Micah Hudson and what other activity you've got going on in the portal and all that stuff. the portal doesn't open until April the 16th. So nobody, you can't really do anything there until the 16th with, Micah Hudson getting into the portal or anybody else. Okay. And then there's a window there. Well, this young man was able to jump in immediately, and his teammates were, because that's part of the deal. You have a window there where when a coach is removed from the job, no matter when it is, if it's in line with the time or not, you can get in the portal. Well, he does. Now you back on the tech side of things, we've tried to document some of this, but you've got a process in place that allows you to act very quickly and rapidly. What does that look like? Well, you have the football component, because when somebody gets in the portal, everybody in the country is aware of it if they're doing their business correctly. And then you've got the football component that says, hey, man, this dude is legit, or hey, this kid couldn't even walk on for you, and everything in between. So I think this clearly tripped some wires here going, blinking red lights, like he is legit. He is like, and because of your resources or you being well funded with the Matador Club and everything, you're able to say, not only is he legit, we have the resources, get involved right now. And so word starts to leak. He's visiting Texas Tech over a week ago. Okay. And he was on campus, and I think so that's how we get here. And then I think that it comes down to ultimately Texas Tech and UCLA. Texas was obviously involved as he went to Austin. And I think some folks in Austin have taken shots at Lubbock because of it, and how I can't process this. And so whatever happened there, and I've gotten a chuckle off of some of the dollar figures that people are suggesting, because nobody it can really pinpoint like what some of this is costing, but it's like this mythical creature. And there's a lot of schools out there that are very frustrated by this mythical creature that Texas Tech is friends with, that compensates players in this window here, because nobody can pin said mythical creature down. You can't really see it. You don't know what business he's doing. Some people feel like he's doing this. Some people feel like she's doing that. Nobody really knows. It's kind of quite fun.
Well, we can confirm, though, Chris, it is as bad as they all think it is. Rest assured, your worst nightmare, absolutely is as bad as that.
Please don't move here. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
We've run out of room.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and I mean, also the NIL mythical creature we're pointing to.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah.
It's just as bad as you think it is on all fronts.
It's a big, bad, very kind and generous monster that is just, if you cut said monster open, it would just spill out double T's and just be spilling out everywhere.
I'd find a new hobby if I was them. I don't even think I'd pay attention to this stuff anymore. It's going to get so bad.
Yeah, that's right. So,
and credit to us, by the way, for inventing this monetary incentive as it relates to recruiting.
Yeah.
Great idea. Love it. We should have started a long time ago. Everybody else is going to catch on, I think.
Shout out to the Gold Trans Am back in the day.
Man.
Still goes down as the best 30 for 30 ever produced. Pony Excess. They were ahead of the game. Shout out to you, people. And it got your football program it's like you're done. Like you're out. Like the old this scene. Like, okay, you're gonna cross me. Like, okay, off with his head.
Let's don't get bogged down and let these people clip our butterfly.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Let's get back to butterfly effects, and I want to know about this force multiplier aspect, because this was Chris Level's wording with this addition. So curious what you mean by that. First, today's episode brought to you by TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back. Now, Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation, an expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. And while they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back guaranteed. And while you go about your day, it's all happening with no stressing, no worrying, and no waiting. Now, this is Taxes with Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. I want to know about this force multiplier aspect, because this was Chris Level's wording with this addition. So curious what you mean by that.
So you heard what I had sent you on Friday night, and I think that there's a lot of people, whether it be NFL people, the analytic people that rank these players and out there, whether you know, whatever system you're looking at or recruiting service you're looking at. Obviously, I've been associated with Rivals.com for 20 plus years in Lubbock, but then there's others out there and all that. Anyway, there's a lot of thought that this is the best one that you've added. To which is, if true, or even in a very short conversation of being true, that is a hell of a statement, because of you have added some folks now that at receiver and at defensive tackle and at defensive end and at corner and on it goes. So that is a hell of a thought process or a statement to make. And that's what most people think. This is a NFL draft pick at some level. This is somebody that is a force multiplier, to which I got a chuckle out of Casey Cowan when I brought this up. And, you know, it's like, what? So there are certain people on a football team or a basketball team that, because they are who they are and the position that they play, it instantly resonates to where everyone around them becomes instantly better. Because when this deal was consummated, you had Sheil Wood became a better defensive coordinator because of this. Yeah. The linebackers became much better because of this, because they won't be dealt with as much. I think your D tackles all of a sudden become better. You're not going to have to cover as long. And there's a Tariq Owens component to this too, in that, which that's a basketball analogy out there for folks listening, that like don't look at Romello Height and David Bailey and just judge them based on sacks. I think the trendy way to do it now is pressures. Because like I think Bailey had like one of the highest PFF grades for any defensive end in the last 5 years or something. So so when he doesn't get to the quarterback, how much is he affecting it? How much is he speeding up a throw? How much is he is a throw not made because of the pressure that he is creating? And now you have it coming from both sides. Hence the reason force multiplier. There's a reason that there's 5 positions in football that are paid more than others at the professional level. It's quarterback, it's offensive tackle, it's defensive end, it's wide receiver, and it's corner. They're all related, all involved in the passing game. And those 5 positions are the 5 positions where it's really a one-on-one battle. You've got to win one-on-one matchups. The edge here that we're talking about in David Bailey, he's going to be locked up against a lot of these offensive tackles in the Big 12 Conference. And if you don't have 2 really competent and really good tackles right here, Texas Tech is going to find you. They're going to find your quarterback, unless you now have to look at your game plan and say, we got to leave tight ends in. We've got to leave our running back in here to chip off the edge. And now we're opening up. You know, we only got 1 running back, you know, or maybe we do, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of games you're going to have to play to try to help out your protection. And with that, now you're not sending as much, you know, out into the, you know, like out into the flat, or you're not sending as much down the field and all these different things. It's just, and so all of that, because you've added a guy like David Bailey, they can now not load up on a guy like Romello Height and shift everything to him. Now you've got, because Bailey may in fact be better than Height, as good as Height is. Okay. And that's what's nuts here, is like you've just added a pair of dudes that play a premium position. And one, Cowan, that you and I have been talking about, like this, you know,
Yeah.
The conversation we always have about if you could add anybody to this particular team, who would it be? You and I always offer that answer up as like, give me Brandon Sharp, give me McKenna Dixon, give me Monte Rager, give me Tyree Wilson, because those are the hardest guys to find, and all of a sudden you've fallen into two of them because you've got a great process, you're well resourced, and you made this happen. So instantly, everybody on the defensive side just got better with his addition.
I thought, like, for example, Lee Hunter was going to be the force multiplier. We got,
and he is too.
Forces multiplied is what it sounds like.
And that's the math problem that I would like to get into there.
And not just him, but yeah.
Yes.
The additions up front are insane, really on both sides of the football, but it's starting to get really exciting defensively because, you're talking about game changers. So can we look into the crystal ball at all to think about what's next or how this addition possibly does impact what's next, whether it's, I don't know, overall roster spots or position group related? What do you see maybe coming in near days?
Yeah, what's interesting is at some point, if this ruling takes place and it sets your roster limit at 105, again, difficult situations and scenarios that you've got to maneuver through on how this works. My hope would be that you can hold, and I think you will, you can hold on and maintain your level of youth and depth at a position like this one, because Chetta Ofili, Charles Anderson, Eddie Smith, you've still got Isaac, and you've got Esters, and you've got Dataray that are a bit older. You've got Spencer. That's because this is a 1-year scenario with David Bailey, and I don't think that it would that 7 or 8 months. And I do think that Cal, and I'll just offer this up to you too. By the way, I think Bailey will be not only in town this week, I think he'll start practicing this week as well. Like, I mean, this is all like he's basically going to get half a spring football. Like, go figure. I mean, that part, I'm like, well, okay, may not be able to get here until May or June. I guess they're on quarters out there, so they're semesters, or not really semesters, or they're quarters out on the West Coast and everything like that. So anyway, he's kind of in between. So what's next is we'll have to just keep an eye on your current guys. But then, can you still add anybody? You looking at anybody? I'd be willing to tell you that, again, receiver, if it makes sense. I'd be willing to tell you that safety, and I think that's directly related to Chapman Lewis and his availability or lack thereof. And so if it fits the right need or whatever, because I don't know what his timetable will be at the beginning of the season. I don't, but maybe I'm overplaying that. I don't know. And then I'm not going to rule out.
First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
I'm not going to rule out. I'll add you another one here. I'm not going to rule out tight end. Just because they are, we talked about our man TC, who you added, and he's a bit of a different kind of player. Flex him in, flex him out, but not in the traditional sense from a tight end standpoint, because he's just 6'2". So if they can improve upon, because what you've got is you've got John Carlos, you've got Terrence Carter, you've got Trey Jackson, who is a bit dinged up, who redshirted last year. You've got Jason Llewellyn, who really didn't do anything last year other than special teams. You've got a few other pieces, but if there's one that checks the box that is a bit more established and a bit more versatile that can help out blocking, catching, whatever, I would not rule that out. Not that you're displeased with anything you've got. I think you just want a little bit more insurance, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So that's what I would say there. But, with all those, like, can they tap into the front load process of something like the Matador Club, or is that ship sailed? And like, what rev share numbers are you getting into? And who's even going to get into the portal in the late period? I would not expect the production to match anywhere close to what you saw in December in the late period, but you never know. So,
I didn't expect you to be kicking out a video over the weekend that said you might have just made your best ad yet. I mean,
fair.
that really, I know a lot of people latched on to
Me
that
either.
part of your reaction.
Me either. But that is the reality of what you just added here. He's late to the additions here. But I think on paper he may be grayed out and maybe thought of as the best player that you've added in this mix. And again, some would disagree with that, or him and haw about it. Well, I still think it, but again, very, very short conversation before you get to his name if you're going to suggest somebody else. I'm here for it, man. And you play a premium position like that one, look out. Unleash the hounds.
Yeah, no question. And the pressure just continues to ratchet up.
Literally.
Yeah, indeed. For everybody in the building. I mean, I continue to sit here as a lifelong Tech fan, Chris, and just marvel at where we are as far as expectations rolling into this fall and all that's been put into making this a special season. So now you got to go out and actually do it. But we're still working our way through spring camp, so we got some time to bite, I guess.
Yeah, and there is pressure. I think there already was with all this fun news. That's the reality of it. And who's going to get the most of this pressure is are people by the names of Kirby and Joey and Baron Morton. This is unfortunately kind of what comes with the territory at the positions that they currently hold. But I think they can all handle it. They handle it with class and grace. And because, again, there's going to be some that are like, the first time you lose, and you probably will, you're not going to roll through this thing undefeated. That's darn near impossible. Even teams with 5-star recruiting classes stacked on top of each other lose a game. And there's people that get hurt, or people a bad call, or the ball bounces funny. So, but as the not the necessarily like the podcaster or the media guy that you and I are, or the PA guy, the alum here in you, it's kind of interesting to kind of feel the excitement in that sense and go, oh my, this has got some serious possibilities here. We've always lacked this. We've always lacked that. Well, now you got this and you have that. So let's go. Let's shift it into the next gear and let's see where it takes you. So.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be an interesting ride throughout the entirety of 2025. You know that. So hopefully you're subscribed out there. Get that way if you're not on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts, so you miss nothing. Chris, appreciate your time as always, and we'll be standing by for the next development. You never know when it's coming around the bend, right? So could be another busy week ahead of us, and looking forward to plenty more to discuss with you in the next few days. Appreciate it, man. Enjoyed it, and we'll see you for the next one.
Enjoy the good times when you get them, man. And some of these times are awfully fun to have when you add quality folks that other people wanted, and that basically everybody is unanimous on that cat can go. Yeah. So I'm here for additions like those. So anyway, enjoy it. Hopefully it translates, and we'll talk to everybody next time and update everybody on what the judge decided or didn't decide, or where we go from here. But yeah, man, guns up.
That's right. Appreciate you all for being out there. If you're an everydayer, you've heard that before, but I mean it, and I'm saying it again. Thank you for always being out there riding along, and shout out to the Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself, with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.